on SAT reading. The intent this evening is not to, the reading is too vast to be able to cover everything in half an hour. But what I will do is, what I plan to do in this session is, I'll just show you what is the plan I made, is that I want to describe the SAT reading. I want to tell you what type of passages come, the types of questions, the peculiarities of the SAT reading, identifying wrong answers and reading for the SAT. Right. This may sound very elementary. It may sound very elementary, but is actually the essence of the reading paper. Is if I ask anybody what do you understand by the term comprehension, which the paper is all about, and you will all tell me, we will give me various various definitions. But the definition I like best about what is comprehension is actually making sense of text. Making sense of text, identifying the meaning of text, whatever you want to say, is the meaning of a comprehension. And this reading section is all to do with comprehension. Right. Now, this paper, if you notice, right, it is 65 minutes. It is 65 minutes long. It has 400 marks and it has 52 questions. At first glance, it appears to be very difficult that, you have to read 5 passages, that each of the passages are, shall we say, literature, science, natural science, history, and social science. And you have to read this passage you have to read 5 of these passages. Each of these passages is about 80 lines. And you have to do all of that in a total of 65 minutes and then yet answer 52 questions. It sounds difficult, but it is not difficult at all. Once you get trained for the SAT, you will realize that it is a very possible, and a very simple way, shall we say, getting a good score is not extremely difficult as far as the reading section is concerned. And why that is, I'll explain this to you as I go along. Right. What happens is, when you come to the types of questions that we have in the reading, you have questions like big picture. What is big picture? You get the main idea of the passage. That's the big picture. You get literal comprehension. It is actually, you have to find something from the text and answer. Inference, you try and make a deduction or a conclusion about something that's said in the text. A function question, on the other hand, is asking you, why has the author included A, B, or C why is he included A, B, or C in the text? A vocabulary in context question is actually asking you what a certain word most nearly means in the context in which it was used in the paragraph or in the passage. A rhetorical strategy stroke organization question is just what it says. Organization means what came first, what came second, what came third, what came fourth. A tone and attitude question identifies what is the tone that is generated by a certain sentence or a word, etc. Similarly to do with attitude. A shift in focus asks you how the author's focus shifted from the beginning of the text to the end of the text. And an analogy is exactly what it says. What is this written in the text? Give me a corresponding situation out of the 4 answer choices, right? Then you have a paired question. A paired question is a simple question in which from the text, he picks up an answer question. He gives you 4 answer choices and then gives you 4 sets of evidence lines from where you need to pick up an answer that matches one of the answers in the head. And a graph question is give you a graph or a figure or data, and from that you're supposed to be able to read that data and answer actually 6 questions. Just to make it very simple for you, I can actually lay this paper out for you. The paper, when you look at an SAT paper, 42% of this paper is paired questions. The paired question comes at number 10, right? That is, at 20 questions are paired. You have 8 function questions, that's a serial 4. You have 8 vocabulary questions, that's a serial 5, right? And you have 6 graph questions, that's a serial 11. So if you add this up, it comes to a score of 42. You have 10 questions left. Now, all the other questions, all the others, like the main idea or a shift in focus or an analogy, will actually comprise the other 10, right? So what does it tell me? What does it tell me? Then if I can do a paired question and a function question and a vocabulary question and a graph question and a main idea question, right, without a mistake, I actually have 44 questions all done. And what you must also understand is that each of the passages would probably have the same distribution of paired function, vocabulary, graph questions. As you see in one passage, you see it in the other, right? All right, let me take you to the next this thing. Now, what are the peculiarities of the SAT? See, this is something you need to understand. You know, what are the peculiarities of the SAT? Number one is that this is a multiple choice. It's a multiple choice question, multiple choice questions. And what you have to believe, is that three answers are absolutely wrong. And there is only one answer that is absolutely correct. Shall I say it in more unambiguous terms that there is no question of a competing answer, right? There is one answer that is right, and there are three answers that are absolutely wrong. More on this as I go along, right? You know, what is so great about this, what I'm saying? You say, what are you telling us that is so different? What I'm saying is that, you know, you all will very easily get out two answer choices that are not correct, right? You'll take out two answer choices that are incorrect. However, when you come to the last two answer choices, you get stuck. You will get stuck to the thing that now you have to choose between the two of them. And now you will start interpreting, you'll start analyzing, you'll start doing everything that you do in school to be able to get this thing. Well, let me state this to you that with a little bit of help, you all will be able to you'll all be able to identify out of the two remaining choices, which one is the right answer. Right. I'll go one step further. Again, I'll say the same thing about standardization, right? I'm saying the same thing. And some of you might think it's boring and so it doesn't matter. It's very important. It's very important. You need to remember that the answer to every question is inside the text, right? Therefore, what happens is, when you go to school, you're reading, or shall we say, The Merchant of Venice, or you're reading Macbeth, or you're reading whatever books come to you in the school. And shall we say you're reading The Merchant of Venice, and you get to you suddenly Portia comes in, or Bassanio comes in, or Shylock comes into this picture. Now, if your teacher asks you an opinion on Shylock or Portia or whatever, he's actually incentivizing you to express an opinion. He is incentivizing you to think out of the box, to interpret, to analyze, to deduce, make a conclusion, do something. You know, what you must believe is that in the SAT, you have to step away from this. See why and why. When the guy in College Board makes this paper, he is duty bound to prepare an answer question, give you 4 answer choices. Of these answer choices, 3 answer choices are absolutely wrong and 1 is absolutely right. He needs to actually prove to his guys that this answer is without doubt the right answer. In such a situation, there is no question of an interpretation, because an interpretation will always be different. There is no shall we say, worth in making an inference, because inferences can also be different. The answer to every question has to be stated in the text. That is what you need to be understanding, because whenever you answer an SAT question and you tell your teacher, sir, I thought, the moment you put that thought into it, the answer is wrong. You need to find the answer in the text and bring it into and that should be your answer. Now, so if that is the case, then you'll all say that everyone got a 400, because if the answer is in the text, everyone be able to find it, right? But it's not that simple. It's not that simple. What does the examiner do? The examiner will not invariably state the answer verbatim from the text into the answer choices. What he'll do is one of these two things. Either he'll do a restatement or he'll do a demonstration. Now, what's a restatement? What's a restatement? Right? Shall we say the passage is on yoga? On yoga. And the passage says that those people who do yoga are very flexible. And the question is, what is one advantage, according to the passage, what is one advantage of doing yoga? Right? And the answer is that yoga makes you flexible. That's written in the text. Now he won't put in the answer choice, yoga makes you flexible. What will he do? He'll either restate it. Restatement, what does a restatement mean? A restatement or a reconstruction, what does that mean? It means very simply, it means this much, that he will take the same idea and put it into different words. For example, yoga makes you flexible. What's one advantage of doing yoga is the question. The answer choice would probably be that, person A, who's so old, or maybe so and so person who does yoga is very agile, right? That means flexible. That yoga, because he does yoga, he's agile, that's flexible. Or he'll demonstrate it. He'll say, this guy who's 56 years old and does yoga can do a somersault, right? That's a demonstration. If at 56, after doing yoga, I can do this, I'm agile, I'm flexible. So this is how the examiner will bring in a little bit of excitement into the paper, but he's actually saying the same thing that's in the text, but he's saying it in words that are a little different. But the meaning is verbatim, the sentence which is there in the text. This much is something that everybody of us who's taking the SAT needs to understand, right? That there is only one right answer, and that answer is stated in the text without doubt. If you start finding answers like that, getting the answers are not going to be extremely difficult. Now, the SAT is an exam. Everybody, everyone be able to do this? There's not an issue. There's not an issue at all. Then everyone's going to score a 400. Now, how does he build the necessary, difficulty into the exam? How does he build the necessary difficulty that requires a large number of us to go get training for the SAT? What does he do? What he does is, he tries and traps you. The first thing that he does is he lures you into actually interpreting, into analyzing, into thinking, into trying to make a conclusion. He actually lures you into that. His questions will say, what according to the author, what does the author in line so and so imply when he says A, B, and C? He's actually telling you, sir, please make an assessment, make an interpretation, right? He wants you to do it. The first thing you all have to understand is that the moment you see a question like that, right? What does the author imply is so and so's whatever? You just cut it everything out and say, what does the author say about so and so? And go and find that say, what has he said, and bring it out and bring that into your answer choices, right? This is the basic fundamental of when you come and take the SAT reading exam. Now, how does apart from luring you by the question, he also makes the answer choices in a manner that he puts in a series of traps. He puts in a series of traps by which he lures you to fall into one of these traps. Let me explain these traps to you. Give me a second, right? Right. See, the first trap is that, I want a narrow answer, he give me a broad answer. This actually works for an answer choice that is the main idea. The narrow and broad, what does it mean? It means this. I need an answer which talks about a bank in Connaught Place, right? And this guy is going to give me an answer. He's going to give me an answer about, shall we say, the monetary system in Delhi. I need an answer about the monetary system in Delhi. He's going to give me an answer. He's going to give me an answer on a bank in Connaught Place. So this is what you have to be able to make out, that you need a broad answer and he's giving you a specific answer. So when you want a broad answer and you see something that's very narrow, look at it with suspicion. Next is an extreme answer choice. An extreme. How does he make an answer extreme? When he says mitochondria are the most important parts of the cell, or most important, right? Now, what happened to the nucleus? What happened to the cytoplasm? So this becomes extreme. Or he says that you will never be able to get a 400 in the SAT. Again, it becomes extreme. Or you will always get a 400 in the SAT. That also becomes extreme. So any answers that take the answer to an extreme, that is every time or never, always or never, right? Without fail, right? 100%. When you do, these answers must be seen with suspicion. Please notice my words. I am not saying that they're always wrong, because that is also extreme. When I use the word always, it is also extreme. If the passage says that General Mallik is the lousiest English teacher in the world, right? That is an extreme answer choice. But it is stated in the text, it's right. If it's not stated in the text, an extreme answer choice should be seen with suspicion. Next, what he does is he picks up a single word. He picks up a single word from the answer or from the text. He picks up the answer in the text. He changes one word, right? Let me give you an example. Shall we say the person is, shall we say, Ashok? He says Ashok got up and had breakfast, right? Ashok got up and had breakfast. The answer will say Ashok got up to have breakfast. They're two different things. By changing one word, he changed the entire context. In one case, he got up and his mom said, the cook is there, go and eat your breakfast. In the other case, he slept late. He said, I'll get up at 7 in the morning. I will get up, have my breakfast, and go to sleep. In one, he got up with the purpose. In the other, it was incidental. That's something you need to be able to make out. The recycle word trap, very popular trap. What he does is he picks up a shiny word from the text, something that shines, the Industrial Revolution, right? Or hierarchical comfort. He picks it up from the text and puts it into an answer choice. When you are stuck for time, you are stuck for tension, you are stuck for everything, and you see the Industrial Revolution in the text and you see Industrial Revolution in the answer, you are tempted to take it as the answer. Invariably, what he's saying about the Industrial Revolution in the text is absolutely opposite or different from what he's saying it in the answer. So when you see a shiny thing from the text and in the answers, please see that with suspicion. Now, speculative. What does speculative mean? Speculative means that it is a very good answer. It's a nice answer. It's a worldwide, it's a world, but it's in common life, it's a good answer. But it's not supported by evidence. The question is, right, where should food be grown? The text says that it should be grown where it is the cheapest to grow it, right? You'll get an answer choice that it must be grown where it's economically advantageous to grow it. Perfect, no problem. But look at the other answer choices. How does he try and trap you? It should be grown where the temperature is warm. Perfect answer. But it's not supported by the text. It should be grown where various crops can be grown together at the same time. Perfect answer, but not in the text. Agriculture is very important for the economy. Brilliant answer, but not in the text. Speculate. It's a very popular, a very easy trap to generate for the examiner. Something that is not supported by the text. In this category can fall the facts that it is wrong, is irrelevant, right? Is illogical, can fall into this category. The next trap you have is what I call it's true in the world, but it's not the answer. Hot air always rises. You can't dispute it. But it's not in the text. It's not in the text. The next trap which he actually tries and gets you into is the double negative. The passage says that, shall we say, Robin is a very handsome guy, is a very handsome person, right? And what happens then, he says that the question is, how does the author describe Robin? She says, Robin is a very handsome guy. I need an answer that says he's handsome. But what does he do? He will put the answer as Robin is not ugly. So when I'm against time, I am tense, I'm everything. So I see negative, I see not negative. Ugly more negative is not the answer. But not ugly is positive. It means actually handsome. So these are, see, if you can identify these various traps that the examiner lays out for you, it only helps consolidate your work into a great score. That is what I mean to say by identifying. Your ability to identify wrong answers is a great attribute to do well on the SAT reading. Right. Let me take you to the next little part of the thing, which I thought I must bring to your notice before you. Yeah, whatever you gentlemen may do or say or whatever, on reading 5 passages in 65 minutes and answering 52 questions, it necessitates or it works on this basic premise that the examinee who's taking the exam can read fast. A fine reading speed, a good reading speed, the ability to read a page of a novel every minute, right, is at the least that we expect you to have. If you don't have it, you need to generate it. Because if there is no speed, there's an issue. There is an issue, right? See, when you read for the SAT, your friends must have told you, if you've done the SAT earlier also, you must have been told, there is this debate. Should I read the passage? Should I not read the passage? Should I read the passage first? Or should I read it? Should I read the questions first? Should I read the passage afterwards? Or vice versa? How much time do I need to spend? How much time do I need to spend on the reading? Right. What I say is very simple. You must do what you're comfortable with. If you can read those passages in 2 minutes each, go read them. Go and read them. Right. But if you can't read them in 2 minutes, then there should be better ways of doing it. So why just give me a minute? I want to share something with you. Give me a second. Give me a second. 1 second. Right. What I brought up in front of you now is a passage from a SAT exam. And now I'm going to take you to the questions. I'm going to take you to the questions. Now you read these questions. I'll read them for you so that we don't waste time. You look at question number 1. The author indicates that calorie reduction extends the life of a cell by, right? Perfect. I go to question 2 and 3. He says, how does SIRT 3 and 4 affect cell longevity? And I need to find the answer from these sets of lines which are in question number 3. This is a paired question. I go to the next question and he asks me, what does the author's use of these 2 words in para 2, what does it do? Then I go to the 5th question. He says, what is in line 15, what does this word mean? In question 6, he tells me what is the purpose of the 5th paragraph. In question 7, he tells me 7 and 8 is a paired question again. I have to find the answer for question number 7 from question number 8. And questions 9, 10, and 11 pertain to this small fellow, this graph over here. Right. See, what I want to bring to your attention is this. That whether I read this passage in 1 minute or 10 minutes, right? If I read this passage in 1 minute or 10 minutes, right? To answer question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Sir, I have to go back to the text. I have to go back and read the lines 7 to 9, 13 to 18, 30 for answering question 3, and read the second para to answer question 4. Same for this, same for question number 6, etc. If I have to do this, then why am I reading for 6 minutes or 5 minutes or 4 minutes? I can go and get the main idea of the passage and start answering the questions. When I'm answering, what I do is, if I can, it's one method. I can do a little bit of passive reading, and that is to get the main idea of this passage, right? And how do I get that? Let me just show this to you. I'll just show it to you, right? Let me show this to you, or let me forget that. Let me show it to you let me state it from what I'm doing at the moment, right? What I'm doing at the moment. What is the main idea of my talk today, right? The main idea of my talk today is what? Is to familiarize you with SAT reading, right? It's a 5-word main idea. In my introduction to you, I stated my main idea. And then I gave you 10 points that you do this, you do this, you do this. And in the conclusion, I'm going to say it again, that my aim was to tell you about SAT reading. So if I go and check out the main idea, right? If I go and check out the main idea, if I need to find the main idea, I'll find it from the introduction and the conclusion, right? And then one more thing which helps me is this. Look at this. Eat less to live longer. Look at this fellow on top. What does he write? He writes at the top of the passage in the blurb. The passage is adapted from Nikhil Swaminathan, Eat Less to Live Longer. If I am told to make a blurb for my lecture, I'll make a blurb lecture by Anil Mallik on what? How to familiarize kids with the SAT reading. So the blurb also helps. So what I say is, if you read the blurb, you read the introduction and the conclusion, you should get the main idea. If you read this first paragraph, he says scientists have known for 70 years that the one surefire way to extend the life of animals was to cut calories. The question is why? Now a study begins to unravel the mystery and mechanism by which reducing food intake extends your life, right? I can read the conclusion, it says the same thing. I read the blurb, it says the same thing. My main idea is eat less, you live longer. I can go and start answering the questions, right? Well, what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this much. What I'm saying to all of you is so much that do what you're comfortable. Do not get swayed by anything. You do what you're comfortable. You want to read the whole passage in 2 minutes, go read it. You want to go and read the passage for just getting the main idea and then answering the questions, please go and do it, right? You want to read the questions first and then read the passage, go and do that. But do whatever you do, it must not impinge on your ability to complete the paper. The paper has to be done, the 52 questions. So whatever you choose, it must have that ability. I have nothing else to say. I can keep talking on SAT reading for a long time. But if you keep all what I said today in mind, it set you on the path to get a good score on the reading. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I'll take them.
Thank you so much, sir, for a very informative session.